Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, 6-time world heavyweight champion, 2-time Hall of Famer. Had to slow it down a little bit just so everybody know. Got my man Brad Gilmore here with me, as always, coming to you from ESPN 975, 925. And man, I'm feeling good today. I'm feeling real good. Bradley, how you feel, man?
I'm feeling good, Book. I was a little worried about you right there at the beginning. I was like, is he forgetting who he was? Is the age hitting him finally?
No. I just want to slow it down. 6-time world heavyweight champion. I mean, you got to accent stuff like this just to make it's like a reminder. You know what I'm saying? Make sure everybody know, man. You don't want nobody to forget the stats, dog, because stats is what matter in this business, if you understand what I'm saying. But, man, I know we only got an hour today, man. We got a lot to talk about. I know we got a lot of super chatters out there. Everybody stepping inside the Hall of Fame. Get your champagne wishes, caviar dreams, man. But RVD made his in-ring debut, AEW. Oh, my God, man. NXT had another strong rating. Dark Side of the Ring featuring Marty Jannetty. I don't know if you got a chance to see that, but it was definitely interesting. But we got a lot to talk about today, man. But I don't even know where to start. But you good, huh? You good?
I'm great. I'm great right now, Book. So I'm ready to talk about all things. You know what? Also, I got to give some.
Before you get started, I had another one of those energizers. That's why I'm a little amped. Okay.
I say something isn't right with this man. Something is clearly not right with this man today. He's forgetting his stats. He's all over the place.
No, I didn't forget the stats. I accented the stats. Okay. Trying to make sure I accent.
Whatever you want to call it.
You know what? Today I'm going to make sure I accent everything on the show. And when I say everything, I mean everything.
Well, we haven't talked to you since NXT. It was a big NXT this week. Again, the Judgment Day. Is the Judgment Day, I guess, next to the Bloodline, the hottest thing going in wrestling right now? I mean, they're involved in every show. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, pay-per-views. They've got championships. They've got Money in the Banks. They're going for world titles. And they were heavily featured this week on NXT.
Like I say, man, I want to talk about that. The strong rating with NXT. There again, ratings are up, and I know it has to be due to just the interplay with the main roster, and mixing it up with the guys on NXT. I just think it's a great mix. Having Dominic in the mix. I mean, like I say, that kid has grown, man. He's grown exponentially in his last 365 days. Unbelievable what this kid has gone. And just to see Rhea Ripley playing that role right now too, playing a hell of a role. I'm just liking everything, man. I'm liking the mix. I'm liking the nucleus of it. So let's just keep it rolling, because I really think NXT numbers, I think they can get up to 1 million a year. I mean, excuse me, 1 million million views a show. Just because the show is a really solid show. It's really good entertainment. The characters really play that role, and for me to see those stars before they become superstars is something very important for me to be invested in, because I want to know who I'm gonna like when they get there. I'm not gonna be waiting around. I want to know who's the guy I'm cheering for, just like a Grayson Waller. I always said Grayson Waller be a great fit, Pretty Deadly, you know what I mean? To see a tag team, as a tag team before you see them on the main roster, two guys they didn't just put together. So yeah, I'm loving it. And the ratings, everything, man, my spot, contract coming up, everything, man, everything's good.
Well, NXT I like as well, because before you joined, which is now, I mean, we're coming up on, you've almost been on the show a year.
That is. That's what
right?
Did you just hear me say contract coming up? All right. That means you know.
Well, so you've almost been there a year, and I will say, prior to you joining, I didn't really watch. I mean, I was aware of NXT on a week to week, but when it switched to the 2.0 format, especially, like I wasn't watching all the time. I would read kind of the recaps more. But I say everybody should watch NXT because, like you said, you get to know who the next big thing is going to be before they get to Raw, SmackDown. Because all the things that everybody loves right now, let's say about a guy like LA Knight, he was doing those things in NXT. When he was on NXT, he was having a run with the $1 Million Championship on NXT. But not everybody was watching that at first, that 2.0 version of NXT. And now that I feel like that show's really found its footing the last 6-8 months, it's a really enjoyable wrestling show to have on every Tuesday. And I really like seeing people like you said, Grayson Waller, JD McDonough, who looks like he's about to kind of get something going on the main roster with the Judgment Day and Finn Balor.
But just think, you got Ilya Dragunov, you got Braun Breaker. Yeah. I mean, you got Carmelo Hayes, you got Trick Williams. You got so many guys that are going to be making their way to that main roster real soon. But to be able to see these guys on NXT, for me, it's really, really cool. And for me, actually, to be able to work with these guys, on an up close and personal basis, that's what I'm loving more than anything. So the NXT, I'm so what do we say? We are NXT. Just had to get it in there one time.
Well, let me ask you this though, because it was a few weeks ago on the show, I floated the idea of, is it time to break up Carmelo and Trick, send them on their separate ways? At the time, you thought, let's let them cook a little bit longer. They could still do some stuff. Yeah. Now they have gone their separate ways. How do you feel about Carmelo and Trick away from one another?
You know what, man? You can only run that game for so long. And my thing is, I don't think they're totally broke up or anything like that. I think one is still going to watch one's back. Sure. But as far as letting Trick go out there and get his feet wet and really, try to come up in the game, it's important because everybody right now talking about Carmelo, perhaps maybe moving to the main roster. Carmelo should be on the main roster. So a whole lot of talk like that. So if Carmelo leaves and Trick has just been, that wingman and hadn't gotten any reps in, it's going to be like starting from scratch. You know what I mean? It's like me opening my wrestling school back in 2005. If I would have opened it, 3 years ago, I wouldn't be nowhere near ahead of the curve. You know what I mean? So I think, letting Trick go ahead and get his feet wet, get ahead of the curve, learn the science, learn who he really is and what he want to be inside the square circle. It starts right now. And for me, there again, having him in NXT, I'm going to be right there, at the hip, trying to help this young man come along and, become a monster. You know what I'm saying? Go out there and wreck shop. I'm talking about bring the noise, all of that there mixed in one. You dig?
Would you like to see, but to me, Carmelo being the NXT champion, he's been on a good run. The match that he and Ilya Dragunov, you said, was the best match he's had up to this point, right?
Yeah,
as a champion.
I think so.
So with that being said, I feel like he's got a few more in him in NXT, a few more title matches, a few more big matches before we should even talk about it.
Not that he have a few more in him. He need a few more. He need a few more of those marquee type matches before he move on. He needs that fight, that experience under his belt, understanding what it means to go out there and just throw hands. I always talk about the rise of Finn Balor and the way Finn looks now, opposed to the way Finn looked 5-6 years ago. Dude's totally different dude. Bradley, you there? You there? Technical difficulty here. Brad has faded out on me here inside the Hall of Fame. We got to take a break. Stick around. We got to take a break. You got to take a break. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Boom! Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, man. We had a couple of technical difficulties there, man, but we always try to get it right for you right here. Inside the Hall of Fame, coming to you from ESPN 975-925. We try to do it for you because right here inside the Hall of Fame, you know what it's all about. It's all about the people.
It is. It is all about the people. We get the people with what they want. And I'll tell you what the people have been wanting. The people have wanted to see the whole effing show. Mr. Wednesday Night, Rob Van Dam. They wanted to see him back in the squared circle. And guess what? They got it.
Got it. I was wondering when Tony Khan was going to pull the trigger. You know what I mean? Bring the ace out. I'm talking about the 6-shooter. Walk 10 paces, turn, bang, bang. I was wondering when they was going to bring him in. And they finally brought that man in, that boy, RVD, my compadre, my running mate. You know what? It was good to see Rob in the ring. It was good to see Rob out there doing his thing because I'm going to tell you, Rob loves the square circle. Rob is in his zone when he's inside the square circle, and I give him props for going out and bringing back some of the old hits. That's what it's all about. When you see the brothers from back in the day, you just want to hear the old hits, man. You don't want to hear nothing new. All you want to, with Maze, just put on the live New Orleans. You ain't got to do nothing else. Just play all those songs. Just do it. Go home after that. And that's what Rob was like, Maze featuring Frankie Beverly. And it was good. No, it was good. Rolling Thunder, Split Leg Moonsault, RVD, 5-star Frog Splash. All that came out, man. Did I say Rolling Thunder?
You said Rolling Thunder.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Split-legged moonsault, 5-star, Frog Splash.
That's normally it, the few chairs. But I thought Rob did damn good. You could tell, though, one thing about, when you get, to that number, you got to think about everything before you do it. Anything. You don't just think. You ask God to help out a little bit in situation.
Well, you know what? And you don't have to point out anything that maybe you saw in Rob's match, but talk about it from a personal experience, because there was a moment where you were trying to do the spinneroonie and you weren't sure if the spin was in.
It wasn't not just that. It was a point. I remember in one of the matches I was working with one of my students. And I say, we went over the match, and I was like, yeah, okay, we'll do this, and right here, man, I'm gonna hit you with that drop kick, all right? And when we were going over it, I could picture myself literally like Brad Armstrong, you know what I mean? Hitting the drop kick and almost turning a backflip at the same time and landing and coming up, they're looking real cool with the hands and everything. And when we got to that point in the match, I remember we were laying on the ground. And I told the kid, throw that drop kick out. Because it was going to be my waist high, maybe a little lower. And it wouldn't have been no hands because I would have been laying on the mat, tired as hell. So I said, forget about that drop kick. And then, I was that up here. And then, when I had to do spinneroonie at the Rumble, I was thinking about before, getting the spinneroonie. Actually, after doing that spinneroonie, I said, I'm gonna take one of those chops from Gunther on the way out. And I said, man, by the time I got to the ring, I was so damn tired. I said, to hell with that chop. Okay, I got down on one knee to do that damn spinneroonie, and I asked God, God, please, if you could just help me with one revolution, just one, I I'll be so thankful, God, please. So I got the hips to rotate fast enough to get one, almost one revolution. And get my ass.
It's about 66% there.
I'm not lying, man. So I'm not, look here. I'm speaking from personal experience. And the thing is, look, I'm in the gym every day. I'm training.
Look at that.
The body looks good. Look like I look like you can put me in the ring today. But it's like an old 69 Chevy, man. On the outside, the body look good. You don't want to hit the gas too hard. You know what I mean? Everything on the engine just might pop. You know what I mean? Transmission drop, everything. You know what I'm saying? So I was just talking to our truth. He's at the building on Tuesday.
How's he doing?
He's doing good, man. He's finally recovered. It's a long recovery for him, and truth, he was talking about when he went to take off, when he went to lift off, it seemed like everything just, all the gas just left, and that's the way it is. When you get older, in your mind, you think, you can go out there and do it just like you did once upon a time. You really do. Most fighters, most boxers, they think that same thing. They feel like, in their mind, and the thing is, when they're shadow boxing, it look good. When you shadow boxing, I look so good when I'm shadow boxing. I look like I could beat up the world. Put me in for 3 minutes and watch what happens. I'm serious. It's real. But now watching RVD back, man, it was awesome. I was glad to see my boy back doing his thing because he loves it. He loves being in the ring. Seriously. And nobody does it like RVD. Nobody.
What do you mean by that?
He's one of a kind.
Yes, he absolutely is one of a kind. I'm
man.
surprised that Rob, because when you see him in the match, you're like, okay, yeah, Rob can still kind of do this stuff. Rob can still go. Now I'm sure, I don't know what his schedule is going to be like. I don't know if he's gonna. I doubt that you're going to bring in a star like RVD and put him on the show every single week. You might want to use him for big moments. Like we saw him with Jack Perry and working with younger talent. But it is kind of crazy that no one else tried to make that overture to him over these last couple of years. I'm surprised he didn't have another run in WWE because they'd bring him in to do the Hall of Fame, he was on that same show with you, right? Doing the picks for the draft.
Yeah.
He was on the same show. You would think they would have brought him in for a match because obviously he can still do it. So nevertheless, I don't know why, but I'm glad that he's there.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I know exactly where you're coming from. But WWE is they're definitely they're that type. Once you get past a certain age, they're trying to move to a younger group of stars, and I get it. It's just like reality of wrestling. Reality of wrestling, we got nothing but young guys. When somebody come into reality of wrestling, that mid-30s, I question them. I go, man, do you really want to do this? I mean, you're gonna be around a bunch of young kids here. You might feel out of place. You might feel like the kid that got held back in high school 3, 4, 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Just the boat just keeps that. No, I'm serious. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a young man's game, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. So good for Rob.
I'm subconscious, seriously, about taking my shirt off around these young guys.
Well, I wanted to ask you about something around these young guys here. I think are we due for a break, or is my math off? Do we have time for something?
We still got about 3 minutes.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So this is what I wanted to ask you about, because there was a guy who performed at SummerSlam who you had a lot of props for. His name is Ricochet, right? You like Ricochet. You said Ricochet's really coming into his own. Did you hear what Ricochet had to say about Booker T? Did you hear this?
No, I didn't, man. I didn't hear it at all.
Oh, okay. So this comes to us from one of the sites. The Ricochet was on a recent edition of the Stay Busy podcast, and the former United States champion talked about his moveset and what he would love to add from Booker T. He said, "You know what I want to start doing? Booker T's axe kick. I just like a nice kick to the back of the shoulders and neck. Oh, man, I'm going to start doing that because also I'm just a big fan of Booker T."
Hey, bro, take it and run with it. I mean, I'm serious. Run with it. Seriously, run with it and, make it your own. Put your own flavor on it. Just looking at, we're going to talk about Dark Side of the Ring here in a little bit. But one of the guys that was on this last episode talking about Marty Jannetty was one of the guys I used to love, man. His name, and I hadn't seen him in years. I didn't even know he was still alive, to be honest. A guy by the name of Pat Tanaka. And man, I stole Pat Tanaka's flying forward, man. I made it my own. And I always want to thank Pat Tanaka, for, lending me that flying forward, man, because I'm gonna tell you, if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have never seen it from me. I was definitely emulating him. So for someone like Ricochet to say that, who I got a lot of praise for, I've seen a lot of growth in Ricochet coming from, Lucha Underground. You know what I mean? That same guy can go out there and do anything in the middle of that square circle. And I always talk about guys, like Ricochet, that can do everything in the middle of the square circle. But they may not be the guys working at the top of the card. Well, I want to see Ricochet working at the top of the card. All right. And to be able to do that, you got to do certain things. And I see Ricochet picking up on those things perfectly. But he's maturing, man. He's growing. He's learning what this thing is truly all about now. So I get it. But we got to take a break. We're going to be back. We got a lot more for you. Stick around, y'all. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. Boom! Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. Then again, I just want to thank Ricochet for putting me over, man, and keeping me alive more than anything. I always say sometimes in this world, to stay relevant, it takes someone else to keep you relevant. So I appreciate Ricochet for even considering wanting to go out there and keeping the old axe kick alive.
I wanted to ask you though, because your finish used to be the Harlem Hangover. We know that. And you've had the bookend and you've had the axe kick. But when did you decide? Because I feel like it was during your WWE run is when you went full time with the axe kick. Like, this is my finisher. When did you decide that, and why did you decide that?
It's the easiest thing to do, and I could do it with anybody. I didn't have to think about it. I couldn't mess it up. Even if I was tired, and couldn't stand straight up, like I normally do. Sometimes I would do it and hit it and stand straight up. Sometimes when I was tired, I would hit it and spin off and, go to the mat. But it still looked just as good, just as effective. So for me, I always talk about with young guys, if you're going to do something, try to make sure that it's something that you could do with anybody, as well as it's something that you could do just waking up out of your sleep. You don't have to practice it or anything like that. For me, I never had to practice the axe kick. I just had to perfect it. I mean, when I first started doing it used to be a spinning axe kick. I just was trying everything. But to actually find something there again, safe, I could do with anybody. I think that's what it was. I think that's what it was all about. The Harlem Hangover, that was like just a novelty act. That wasn't something that I ever thought was my. I never thought the axe kick was my. The Harlem Hangover was my finisher. I never thought that. I just thought it was there again a novelty act, something to make people go wow. Make people feel a certain thing, make them think that I was a high flyer when really most people, they may not know it, but I was afraid of heights. I was so scared every time I did that move. That's why you can count on on one hand pretty much how many
How many
times that did
times?
on television. And there again, it was just a wow factor more than anything.
The axe kick, I think, is in a great pantheon of moves that you could do to anybody. There's one that I saw a clip of on Twitter the other day of Mr. Perfect. Kurt Hennig had the perfect plex, the fisherman hook suplex, right? That he would hit. And man, I saw him do it to the Big Show. And it's one of the prettiest fisherman hook suplexes you'll ever see in your life. And it was in WCW. So it was when Big Show was still young. It could probably help him out a little bit. But God, it looks so sweet to see that fisherman hook suplex on the Big Show.
Yeah,
You had a couple great ones on the Big Show too, though.
yeah, I did the scissor kick off the top rope or something to the table, all kind of stuff, So I had some really good stuff with Big Show.
Yeah, we have a couple super chats. I know you want to talk about Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah,
I want to give a big shout out to Mike Edwards, who's a brand new subscriber to the channel. We appreciate you, Mike. Yeah. Thank you, Mike. And Virgil Dawkins comes in with, I've always wanted to pursue pro wrestling, but I'm not super athletic. Do you find it more challenging for bigger guys to be successful training at Reality of Wrestling?
Not really. I mean, one thing about Reality of Wrestling, we don't train everybody the same way. Some guys could do, up and overs. Some guys can't, but some guys are never going to do an up and over in an actual real match. So why teach that? So for me, we try to teach accordingly. We've had a lot of big guys come through our school. But one thing about, those maneuvers, the up and overs, we may not ask you to do it in an actual match, but we may ask you to train it just so you can see the mechanics of it and know the mechanics, because you may be in the ring with someone that is doing it. So there's a lot of variables there as far as, the training methods goes, but I think we try to fit it accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some big guys not even know that they're athletic.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You do some conditioning, a few months of training, really build your cardio up. You'll actually be surprised once you get those muscles loose, what you can actually do.
One of my guys, just give you a little story. He went from, close to being 400 pounds now to being like 225. And he went home, to his parents' house, went home, and they didn't even recognize him. So it works, if you just put the work in. I'm proud, when I see a kid like that who just, stick to the routine, not doing anything different other than sticking to the routine, and it works. So yeah, come on down and be a part of the row.
Another super chat here is from Mike Edwards. Love the show, guys. Book why you had done my boy Edge Stone like that, paying off the ref, costing him the match.
Look. I try to tell Vic about this kind of stuff on a weekly basis. This business is not about friendships. It's not about buddies. It's not about, hanging out and going break bread and having a BFF. It's not. You know what I mean? It's about winning, man. It's about setting yourself up to be a winner. I'm talking about a legend, a Hall of Famer. Sometimes I had to cut corners, even though I was a good guy, but I still had to cut corners. If the referee didn't see it, it didn't happen. It's one of those type of things. You're not cheating, you ain't trying. I believe in that. So that's that's why, man, Ed Stone can fall back to the back of the line. He said that stone won't crumble. Guess what? We left that stone in little bitty pieces, in rubble. You feel me? And it's going to be like that from now on.
Well, we'll see what happens at Reality of Wrestling coming up. I know we're going to have, by the way, we're going to reiterate, there's some big announcements coming about this show.
Big news.
About that show.
Big news.
About all kinds of stuff.
Big news. That's all you guys, and that's going to be coming to you guys in not months, you know what I mean, but weeks. You feel me? I'm talking about like 1, 2. Yeah, something like that. So get ready, guys. We got some big news coming for you. Big news, great news.
Here's Kappa Owen Sai. I can't even enjoy Row. My new neighbor bumping a subwoofer so loud. Brad and Book, I swear this dude is about to enter the ganking zone. Axe kicked or something.
That's crazy, man. Hey, man, I'm telling you, come watch the show with you, bro. I mean, because right there's, shaky, ducky, quack, quack moments going around everywhere, man. When I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. I've been having so much fun on NXT, too, man. It's been crazy. Kickoff show, I had so much fun as well last week. SummerSlam. Oh, man, it's been, I'm living my best life right now. I'm living my best life. I really am, seriously. So, guys, don't fret. Don't be mad about it. Smile every day. That's what it's all about. Got any more super chats?
Man. No, those are all the super chats. So I know that you want to talk about Dark Side of the Ring, Marty Jannetty.
Yeah.
You and Marty, did y'all ever really cross paths? Were y'all ever in the same company at the same time?
We crossed paths, of course. Of course, I know Marty Jannetty. But as far as working with Marty, no, I never crossed paths with him in the ring or anything like that. He was always one of the guys that I really, admired his work. Coming up, I mean, him and Sean they were good, man. They were good, as well as they had that same. They were like the new Rock and Roll Express. They were like the updated Rock and Roll Express, even though you could never replace Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson. You couldn't do it.
Still working to this day.
Still working to this day. But the Rockers, man, they definitely was special. And honestly, man, I could see the talent in Shawn Michaels and the star power in Shawn Michaels early on. Before they ever. Broke up, before they ever went, their separate ways or anything like that. It was just something about Shawn Michaels. He just had a certain feel about him, and he had star written all over him. And I said star, the kickoff show last week, I was talking about young Jay Uso, and I said star. So, that's what he had written all over him, man. So, yeah, man, to watch those guys come up as a tag team, and it's something I want to talk to you about as far as tag teams go, including Marty and Sean, just like my brother and I, just like the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, and Dashy Boy, everybody, all tag teams are putting this conversation as far as we watched Shawn Michaels, and like I said, I could see he had star written all over him. But then again, you saw Marty Jannetty, and this guy was a really good worker as well. Of course, the demons of Marty Jannetty seem to have been, outweigh Shawn Michaels. How that happened, I don't know, because we've heard stories about Shawn Michaels. But both of those guys were mega talented. The part that the conversation I want to talk about, of course, I want to talk a little bit about Dark Side of the Ring and some of the stories that they were talking about on that. But the thing I want to talk to you about was as far as tag teams go. A lot of times we see one half of the tag team ascend and go on to be champion, and the other partner go on to do whatever. Do you remember any tag teams that where both guys went on ascended to become world champion? We got to take a break. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
To the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. I'm Booker T, 6-time world champ. Got my man Brad Gilmore here with me. We just chopping up, talking a little bit of something about tag team wrestling. And I just posed a question to Brad as far as two tag team members. Do you remember a team that both ascended to the world championship? I don't know. And the thing is, I don't know. We go back to like the Briscoe brothers, because I'm sure back then, Jack and Jerry, they probably won some form of a regional heavyweight, regional heavyweight championship. But I'm talking about like in the WWE era, WCW era, whatnot.
There's only one. And yeah, I'm sure if we go through the territories, we'll find more examples. And even if I think about this a little bit longer, maybe there's one or two guys. Now, there were some teams where they were put together, but when they were already established. So I'm not going to count those. So the only one that pops into my head is Edge and Christian. Edge had more world title runs, but Christian won the world title in WWE.
Yeah.
He went on, he had a world title in TNA.
Yeah.
As the NWA champion. That's the only one that I can come up with where when you look at both of their careers as a tag team and as individuals, they both pretty much did everything that you could really do in this industry. And they had Hall of Fame careers, in my opinion, as singles as well as in a tag team.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I didn't think about those guys, but they're definitely two guys that pretty much did it. They did it at a high level. I always said that Christian was like, still like the most underrated, wrestler that we've ever seen. That's how good this guy really is, and was. I mean, times that I got in the ring with him, it was just awesome. I didn't even have to think. I was laughing half the time, trying to stay in character and be serious at the same time. But definitely, one of the true greats.
And our chat has a couple of suggestions as well. I'm not going to count Miz and Morrison because John Morrison never went and won the world title in WWE. And they didn't come in together as a tag. They were kind of put together during the middle of both of their runs.
I feel that.
Kofi and Big E is an interesting one. That's an interesting one. But again, they came in all as individuals and then put together as a tag later on in their careers.
Yeah.
Now, this next one.
Even though they won it after they got put together.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. So you can make that argument if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Because it definitely did raise their stock as individuals at being a part of that unit. But this next one is 100% right. Even though it's a 3-person unit, the Shield. Roman, Seth, Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
They kind of nailed that one.
Yeah,
I didn't think of that one.
Definitely. That's probably the most recent in the modern era as far as guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Going out there. Yeah, most definitely. That's a good one right there. Seriously.
Well, yeah, because you got 2 of them are world champion right now.
Yeah, you know what? But I still see those guys as separate singles, man. You know what I mean? I feel like those guys were still put together. Even though they were a group, I still feel like they were put together, unlike guys that came in like a Pretty Deadly that was tag teams, guys that were connected at the hip, guys that had ran down the road. And I'm talking about, from the beginning, till they actually broke up and did that run together. Those are the kind of guys. I really wouldn't put the Shield in that group, even though, you nailed it on that one, but I still wouldn't really put those guys in that group.
I get it too. Like the Shield, when you say tag team, they don't come into my mind as a tag team.
Not at all.
Because they were a faction.
Yeah.
Not a tag team.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why really the only example I can truly think of is Edge and Christian. Maybe there's another one out there. Chosen Power says Hollywood Blondes, but I don't think Brian Pillman was ever the world champion. Now, speaking of Pretty Deadly, Jimmy, the Mouth of the South Hart, says he wants to manage Pretty Deadly. He wants to be their valet, walk him to the ring. The Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, man who saw Elvis record at Sun Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. What do you think? Could Jimmy, the Mouth of the South, do it? Can you do it, baby? Can you do it? Oh, here we are. We're Pretty Deadly, baby.
Look, I'm not gonna say he can't do it. Okay.
I love
it. What? It might be actually pretty good. I don't know.
It'd probably be entertaining.
It might be entertaining. So I'm not gonna put a nail on that one or anything like that. I was thinking like, nah, come on, man. But Jimmy Hart might be the spark that light the flame. You never know.
Jimmy Hart back in the day, man, there was no heel manager that I think I wanted to like thinking back on it, like wanted to see get beat up more than Jimmy's the mouth of the
I'm
South.
gonna tell you right now, if you want some nostalgia, that definitely would be it.
Who coming out with the pretty deadly jacket
With
and
the
the matching megaphone?
brother.
Come on, man.
No, I'm
Come
serious.
on.
No, I'm serious. If you really want it, and the thing is, Jimmy's still sharp.
Oh yeah, he's all the way there.
He's still sharp as a tack, man. Everything
100%.
still there, man. So I mean, if anybody could play that role, definitely would be Jimmy Hart.
I would love that. Now, is there something that you saw in the Dark Side of the Ring with Marty Jannetty that you wanted to make sure that you covered? Because here's the thing about Marty is, yeah, he did go the wayside after the Rockers broke up. They really put the rocket on Shawn. They thought Shawn was a more marketable star, and guess what? I mean, as far as what Shawn Michaels went on to do, you could say they were 100% right in that. Shawn went on to do everything that you could possibly do in this business, including being the first Grand Slam champion. Marty, talented. I don't know if he had the same amount of charisma as Shawn, but definitely a talented guy who could have been a utility player. Do you think it was just those demons? I didn't watch the episode. Do you think it was just the demons that kept him from that?
I don't know because then again, perhaps because Marty got like chance after chance after chance after chance. They kept giving him chances.
Yeah.
He just kept failing. Finally they just had to pull the plug and say this thing is not going to work out. But Marty Jannetty got more chances perhaps than anybody I've ever seen to continue making money. So yeah, with it, from his own demise, yeah, of course it was. I just look at it and see it as another cautionary tale. As far as you could be up one day and the next day, you could be all the way at the bottom, looking up, and it's a lot of these young guys that's out there, wanting to be professional wrestlers, and they may look at that story and say, I don't know if I want to be a professional wrestler, and I say, you gotta look at the beauty of it, and because I look at me as an example and say, man, it's been a beautiful, beautiful thing. But one thing about this business is you can get caught up. You can get caught up in a heartbeat. And I'm sure Marty was right there, vulnerable and, got caught up, and it doesn't take but one time. It doesn't take but one time to go down that road, just say, for instance, the drugs, the pills, the whatever. If it's good and you like it, it's easy to get hooked on it if you got an addictive personality, So I look at this as just another cautionary tale to, getting into this business. Understand that it is a business, and if you want to make it out, to the other side, you better treat it like one. And that's my tale, because I'm still here. I'm still trying to thrive. But every day I look at this thing as a business. It's just like, say, for instance, I won't have a drink the night before I got to go work the next day. I just won't do it. I just won't. I don't know why. It's just in my nature to not drink the night before I got to go work. Now if it's a weekend, I'm hanging out, going to watch the boxing match, I might have one. But I'm not going to have 10. I'm not going to have 5. I'm not going to be drunk. Brad, you're not going to have to hold me up and take me back to the hotel room. You're never going to have to do that. So that's
good to know. Mark that down.
You haven't had to do it yet, have you?
I haven't.
No, so that's my thing.
Sometimes you have to have those conversations with your knees. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they might have to help me get back. but no, man. I look at this as another one of those tales, man, because there's a lot of stories, a lot of partying, a lot of fun. And people always talk about this business as far as, man, having fun. You remember I was talking about that not too long ago. Guys talking about having fun. I'm going to leave WWE, man, because I ain't having fun. It ain't about having fun. It's about making some money. It's about, creating something. It's about being able to parlay this success into something else, that television time into something else, because this is a window. This window is going to close, so being prepared, preparation is the only luck you're ever going to have. Watch that Dark Side of the Ring. Watch that Marty Jannetty story, because hopefully you'll learn from it. Hopefully you'll learn from it.
Well, and I know Marty. I don't know. It seemed from at least what he would talk about on social media and stuff like that he never really kicked or some of the demons that he had. And I mean, do you remember like what he was talking about, like a potential crime,
Murder somebody, yeah.
Murdering somebody, yeah. There was the weird post about his, I think it was his daughter or his stepdaughter or something like that.
Yeah. And the thing is, he was saying that he was just doing that to get clickbait and get people talking.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, you know what? That might be true because
could be.
You know, when the lights go dim, man, the fans not cheering for you after you had that kind of success. And, you know, it's hard, man. It's gotta be. It's gotta be hard for some people. You know, for me, I've been able to shift gears and, you know, move into other, you know, realms and, you know, to keep my, you know, self motivated. But a lot of people just still, you know, harp and think about, man, when it was the way it was. You remember when? Back when? Oh man, the times. You know what I mean? I'm serious, man. You got to get out of that, man. You got to be able to move on.
Why do you think, and I know we're coming up here toward the end of the show, but why do you think sometimes when the tag team splits, or most of the time when the tag team splits, one guy doesn't ascend the same as the other? Were they just not as talented? Were they not as marketable? Were they not as hardworking? Like, what's the reason?
You know, I don't know. You know, I think when you're in a tag team, I think people are always looking at the both of you, and they're going to always compare you to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the one thing that you got to fight against more than anything is competing against each other. And you know, I remember one of the guys, you know, one of the producers, one of the agents, told my brother, you know what I mean? Well, you don't do it like your brother do it. And my brother told the agent, well, none of these guys do it like my brother do it. You know, so, but that's the comparison. That's comparison that one, I think, I always get when you're in a tag team is being compared, you know, to the other guy, you know, which is, you know, I don't think is right or anything, but I think it definitely is one thing that, you know, perhaps that may stand out. Unless you like the Nasties, where both you guys look exactly the same.
Be like, which one's sags and which one's knobs?
Exactly. You know,
not 100% certain.
Exactly. But like you say, man, we got to get out of here, man. We got to get out of here. I want to thank everybody stepping inside the Hall of Fame, you know, checking us out on a weekly, man. And like Brad said, in a couple of weeks, we got some big news for you guys here inside the Hall of Fame, as well as reality wrestling. So make sure you guys stay tuned because you don't want to miss out. You don't want to get shut out. Bradley, as always, thank you for all the heavy lifting, man. But right now, like I always say, man, I love you guys. Peace. We out.